Okay, let's see here. Checking the setup here. Just verify the audio is working. Audio appears to be working. All right. So, logging in. Let's do live 10 here. So, want to try and make, some basic games. As I try, again, I made some simple things, but been adding in some different elements, and I want to see from those elements, what I can now make. As more and more elements get added, it'll be much easier to make more complex things. But just using the, set of complex parts that we have right now. So we have the background. Background is obviously just the background. So let's do this. Here's the background. And something that can really help with making programs that I added recently is building tools. So these are just tools that specifically their purpose is to help you build the program. So this one is the inspect tool. So if I put this on, um, it'll take a moment to load up. Okay, let's see. Just going to save the program just to see. Okay, we're at 170 fragments now. So there's this variables button. And, when you press variables here, it's going to tell you all the internal variables of the program. So that can be helpful because sometimes you might be like debugging something and you're like, what's going on here? Why am I getting some weird behavior? The variables can help you do that. And you can just delete this whole building tools later on. So it's helpful starting off. So right now I'm going to have it on there. I may or may not need it, but so we talked about the background. Here it is. It's green. Element spawner. So this will just boop, boop, boop. It'll continuously make elements, and you can like create a template element, and then it'll just make them periodically. And so you can make them spawn randomly in different locations, or in the same spot, or whatever you want. Spawn X elements. So it'll just like, let's say you have 10 things you want to create, which is I think the default right now. It'll just put 10 of them on the screen, and right now it'll just randomly distribute them. Quests is not finished yet, but it's the ability to do quests. Splash screen this is a splash screen. So menu is actually a button and a splash screen. So you press the button and then splash screen opens, and then when you press it again, splash screen closes. So that's what menu is. Run is what makes everything go from being just code to actually running. If you don't have run at the very top of your program, it's not going to run the program. So the first instruction is to run it, and then it will execute everything afterwards. Next is the crawler. So this is a element that will crawl across the screen in different locations randomly, and it will also keep track of its history. So you can use that information potentially to do some learning or whatever. Spawn resources. So this is the idea is basically that you have something that is kind of regenerating semi-periodically, and you can control the conditions under which it's happening, but initially it's just periodically spawning, and there can be a couple different types of resources. And when you collect those resources, right now it's set up so when you click on them, but you could change that to be whatever you want. But when you click on them, it will collect it, count in an inventory, and it will also update a ticker of that. So if there is, let's say, different resources, you can click them and collect them, and it'll count them. The collision engine is basically so almost all of, they should all contain it. They will all eventually. Everything within complex functionality that you would probably care about collision. So you probably wouldn't care about collision for the background because it's the entire screen. So that doesn't really matter or make sense. I mean, you might want to know if something's off screen. But element spawner, spawn next elements, crawler, spawn resources, all these things will automatically be added into collision. If you have the collision engine in, then you will be able to detect collisions between different elements. And so you can kind of specify how that works. And initially, I assume a certain way in which you're going to want those collisions to be done. Like typically you have a cloud of things and you have one thing that's colliding with all those different elements. But sometimes you might have a bunch of different clouds that are colliding with one another. And so within the collision engine, and as things progress further, I will update it so that um, you can easily specify different types of collision patterns that you might want to do and make it not so complicated, because you don't have to like fish through there and change it. You can set it to however you want, but like ideally you'd want it to be pulled out of the program. It's something that you want to manipulate. It's not a part of the typical functionality. So those are all the main. Oh, then there's a second page. Health bar. This is an old one. Let's see if it still even works. I wouldn't even. Well, I guess you could still use it. Yeah. So yeah. So right now the health bar is actually like an image, and you can specify the number of them, and it's a counter and stuff like that. So you could manipulate the health bar, increase it or decrease it, but it's not really. It's a very old part. Random crawler. That is the old random crawler, which I have now replaced with the new crawler. So you probably delete that one. Projectile launcher is a item that you can drag across the screen, and it shoots projectiles. And those projectiles are on one collision list, and all of like the spawn elements, spawn X elements are automatically on the other collision list. So it's very easy to make things where you're going to have, make projectile games. Increment variable, I might remove this. I think I might put it into a different location. I think it doesn't really belong here. User visit counter. So this is sort of a template, which I don't know if this even still works anymore. Might. Let's see. Yeah, that one needs to be fixed. But basically, it is what it says. So the amount of times that you have, the number of times the user has visited this page. And this is actually the number of times you have visited this page. So it's sort of a demonstration of the cookie memory. So cookie memory is one of the functions that you can find in here, and it makes it pretty easy for you to have a sustained memory inside the website, which is not something that is like super heavily used. Cookies are used for a number of different reasons, but like being able to have a persistent memory has a lot of advantages. So definitely something interesting that you can do when making a game. But so anyway, looking at what we're going to try and do here, let's refresh this. So those are the different parts that I have right now, and let's say that I want to hmm, let's see if I can make a little army game or something like that, or a little battle game. So this spawn resources here, that one already has the multiple resources added into it. Okay, so I guess first you're going to collect resources. So all right, I have some ideas. So on different parts of the map, there's going to be resources that are spawning. And you need to collect those resources. And when you collect them, it allows you to buy things. And those things are like units. You can use those units to attack the things on the screen. So these resources here. So we got diamonds. I think that's pretty nice. We have wheat, blood, and X. You know. Emoji, HTML. Let's see. Water. Not a water wave. Ice. Snowflakes. I think we'll do a water droplet. Copy. All right. And I think it's going to actually spawn these all on the bottom here. So I'm going to move the variables up. Oh, okay. Yeah, so they all spawn there. Actually, I'll just delete this until I need it. And I want to remove the scroll bars, which the scroll bars are currently not a part of the complex parts. They're in the basic functionality, which the complex part basically is just a whole bunch of basic functionality put together. So here we have this basic functionality. We have remove scroll bars. All right, so here we have our 4.0. It is absolutely terrible having my screen covering up like this. So I'm just going to move it, I think, to the top. Let me do that. Give me one moment. Make element counter. Make this at 0. This will probably help. All right. Now, layout's kind of annoying right there, but let me see. Can I do the full screen? If I hit this little... Oh, there we go. That helped out a little bit. So, yeah, there's not really much I can do about the layout being right there right now. But so I have crystals, grass, blood, and water. And let's see. I think these are fine elements to have, but the way how they're, first of all, they're way too large, and the way how they are clustering, you know, it's not so great. So what I want to do is control all of their distributions, and here I have the different models that I'm referencing. Now what I can also do, I can duplicate this. And going to add some new functionality to this existing spawn resources here. So I can have an original X position, an original Y position, and then also the random bounds that I want to add to it. So this could allow me to cluster them or not. You know, so that'll be interesting. So what I'm gonna try and do is this one here. First, let's just call this models and make it a yellow. And then this right here, this is going to be called, let's see, exposition, X origin. Resource X origin. Okay, then we're going to duplicate this, and it's going to be all updated here. Okay, then this is going to be a Y origin. All right. And then this will be X offset min. And yeah, that'll just stay yellow. I'm going to duplicate this. We'll have Y offset min. Okay. Then we're going to have X offset max and Y offset max. Then once I have those variables, then it will be not too difficult to basically control how we want to do this clustering. And then by reducing the sizes, then we can add something to it where we can go around and try and pick them up. And then depending upon what we pick up, will determine what we can spawn. So here we have X origin, Y origin, X offset min, Y offset min. This will be X offset max. This will be any moment. Y offset max. Okay, so here we have resource models. We have resource X origin. Let me just get that copied there. Resource Y origin. resource, I want this to be X offset min. Okay. Thank you, headphones. That was very helpful. This would be Y offset min, Y offset, Y offset min, Y offset max, or X offset max. Y offset max. All right. Now, here it's a resource spawner, so it's a timer that happens periodically. And what's going to happen here? Here's when we can just quickly walk through this. So this is the timer, and every time the timer fires, it's going to iterate through a counter. So there's 4 different items here. So as you can see, there's 4 items on the screen. So we're going to iterate through all 4 of them. And currently, it's going to be on item 0. So it's looking at all of these columns here, and it's going to check and say if we haven't like overflowed. So it's going to just continually step through this list of all the different values. So if you have 10 different things specified, every time the timer fires, it's going to shift to the next item. So the first time the timer fires, it's going to go through all the first items in all these lists. And then the second time the timer fires, it's going to go through all the second items. And by doing this, you basically can reference all these things outside of the timer, which is essential because you don't want to bury all of your important details inside of the machinery. If you have it's easier to do it that way. You can just have all the stuff that you reference inside of this code, but it will become so massive and so unwieldy, and also much harder to understand. Instead, the idea here at the top is like you load this in and here are all the different variables. And so you're like, okay, I can change the models, I can change where they're located, how random they are. And then you actually never would need to look in here. And if you had sufficient level of clarity and number of variables that you can manipulate up here, then you could just change these variables and make almost anything you want eventually. But so it's going to go through each one of those, and let's say that it's on the first item in all of those lists, and so it's going to say for that first item we're going to create a name. So it's going to be the identifier of the element they're going to be making. The model, so the model would be like the water droplet, for example, or the diamond. The spawn rate, so we're also specifying right now they all have a spawn rate of 10. So every 10 times that the timer fires, it'll spawn one of them. So you can control how fast they spawn by changing that spawn rate value. And then here it's going to say, are we initializing? So this is the first time you've ever run this. If it's the first time, it's going to create the counter. If it's any other time, it's going to spawn the entity. So the first time that happens, it has to do all this setup. There's different background variables. You have to start tracking how, create a list for all the different items that you want to track. And in the normal execution, which is what's happening right now, first thing it's going to do is going to increment the clock. It's going to say, hey, the timer has fired again. Then it will check and say, is it time for us to spawn? It's going to check if the clock has overflowed enough times for the spawn to start again. So if it has, then it's going to reset the clock. And then here it's going to spawn the element. So it's going to say, all right, it's time for us to create an element now. So here is how that element looks. And Right now, it's going to just spawn it at a random location between 0 to 90 on this whole map. So that's why they're all just randomly distributed. And so we're going to change this slightly. We're going to change the max min, and we're going to add a value to it. So this will be a random number. And actually, what we're going to need to do here is we need to wrap this in the math, because we're doing string operations and math operations. So it's kind of important to confine that. Okay. So first I'm just going to make the equation in this one, and then it should be pretty easy. All right, so first let's just do string to number. So if it was in fact a string, it would convert it to a number. But really, we're just mapping to primitives, so we can take the random number. We can put that in there. Oh, that's the other one there. Okay, so that's fine. We can just go to string to number here. We want random number. Just verifying the audience count. Looks good. All right. So we have that string to number. Value. Okay. Now, this is going to be the offset. So we'll do a plus here. This is actually going to be reference variable. Actually, it's reference array. So basically, we're going to be, depending upon which one of these that we're looking at, which column, we're going to reference the number. So I guess just to start off, I should probably put in some numbers here. So let's just say that this one is going to be for the diamonds. Let's say that they're going to be randomly distributed. So that means I'm not going to have any origin information, so it's going to be 0. And for the other ones, let's say 25, 50, 75. And we'll do the same thing for the Y origin. I'm just going to initially put some values in here, and then it'll be clear when we tweak it. So the X offset min. Okay, this is an interesting one. Okay, so 0, 0, 0, 0. The Y offset min 0, 0, 0, 0. And then the Y offset max. So this can be where it gets interesting. Let's say we do 5. Actually, no, the first one we're going to do 90, then we'll do 5, 5, 5. Okay. And I'll explain how those work here in just a moment. Let me just first copy these in. So I need to reference this array. So let's see. Here is the string to number. Boop. Oh, that's not actually where I wanted to put it. I think I wanted to put it in here. So, well, actually that's fine to have there. And then also I want to put it right here. And I'll put it right there too. And right here. Delete. Delete that. Okay. All right. So it's referencing. I just need to make sure that I'm referencing the right identifiers here. So let's see. So the X origin, resource X origin. Let me just get that in there. Left is going to be here, resource X origin. Then I'm going to need X offset min. Okay, min, X offset min. Right in there. This is going to be X offset max. All right, gonna delete this. This here. Now we're going to change that to view height first. Then we just need to make these for the Y values instead. So Y origin. Okay. Y offset max. Oh man. If this works, let me just check here. This will be amazing. Oh, okay. All right, let's see what happens. Okay, first of all, they're spawning extremely slow. 1. Okay, so this can probably be cranked up to like 20. And they don't need to be spawning at such a slow rate. Okay. Yeah, so the diamonds have an origin of 0, and they can spawn the entire range of the screen. You cannot see the water droplets. They're behind my head. This is extremely annoying. Can I just like turn off my face? It's ridiculous. Okay, well, anyway, so these are now clustered, and this one is randomly distributed. So that's helpful because now we can control that, by these top values here. So basically, if we just look down the first column, we have the diamond, and its X origin is 0, its Y origin is 0. Its X offset min is 0, Y offset min is 0. So it starts at 0, and then it's going to have a random value. That's how all these are done. It's just a random value. And so we're going to determine from the origin, it's like 0, and then plus some offset. Or if the origin was not at 0, let's say it's at 25, 25. That's what this one's at right here. So it starts at 25, 25, and then we're going to add a random amount to it in the X and Y direction. So here for X offset max, that's going to determine how far in this direction it can go. And now if you have a positive and a negative, you can go either way. Like you can actually go from your origin, you could go to the left, or you could go up. Negative is going to be left and up, positive is right and down. That's just a convention for, you know, the internet or whatever. But so you can see how these are all being clustered together, and they're making like basically a giant water droplet. And then this is our giant blood droplet. And then all of the um, crystals are being randomly distributed. So that's helpful. I think that definitely this can be scaled up further by having some additional controls on how we define the the spawning. Right now it's kind of either clustered or sporadic. So you can you could at least create a cloud in an area, which would be nice. But I think we really need very first step, reduce the size of these things. They're way too easy to be getting. So let's drop that down. So here is like where those elements are being referenced, and the font size is 7.5 view width. I'm thinking like 3 view width is probably a good starting point. And let's make their collision box 2.5 view width and 2.5 view height. Just a little bit smaller than they are, because if they're the exact size, like it's always an overshoot. Okay, this is a little bit better, I think, in terms of the randomness. I mean, the size and how it's all looking. So let's change some of this. So we can already, with how it is set up, at least control if it's going to be a square or if it's going to be a rectangle. So you have those two options. So it's either square, rectangle, or a complete cloud. And the rectangle can be going up and down or like this. So I'll give an example of that. So the blood right now is kind of set this way. Now, if we wanted to make it a vertical triangle, we just need to change the range for the Y offsets. So the Y offset min, so let's say for the blood, that's the third one here. So we want to change the Y offset min, and let's make that -30. Or actually, I guess it's at 50, right? So we'll put that at negative, yeah, let's do -30. And then the Y offset max, let's make that 30. Then that should make this, form a horizontal bar over time that is of a certain width. Yep. Okay. So there are these 4 different spawning types. Yeah, we have the 2 different rectangles, the square, and completely random. There is no diagonal. Well, I guess it could be diagonal. I would just probably rotate it or something like that. Oh, guest visitor on the show tonight. But I think this is probably fine the way how it is. I think what I will do is now try and arrange, something from this. So let's see if we'll just leave it as it is right now. Puma, you're gonna need to get off the screen. Okay. So let's add something to this now. So here, I'm just gonna close the resources for a second. I think that these are all being added to the to the variable list. So I'm just going to check that really quick. I'm just going to see what's in there. Oh, thank you. Thank you for cutting out again, headphones. So I did not necessarily see that. I may still need to add that to the list. That's fine. So here we're going to spawn the element, spawn resource element. So we make the variable, spawn the resource element, increment spawn total, add to collision list. It's already in there. Okay. So it is in pre-collision list A. All right. So I'm not sure if I really want that in A. That's fine. I can figure that out in just a minute. Whatever I add just needs to be in B. All right. So let's see here. Let's go to complex parts. Let's get a projectile launcher. So not sure if there's a orc emoji. I think there is, like an ogre, something like that. Okay. First of all, is this on B? It is on B. Awesome. Okay, but there's no collision thing in there right now, I think. So that's probably the issue. Okay, so first of all, cannot be a wizard doing this. So let's see. Emoji, like, I don't know, worker, HTML code. Construction worker. Okay. So yeah, let's all right, we got a projectile launcher. It's going to be this guy. His projectiles are going to be maybe a wrench. Oh, a pickaxe. Yes, pickaxe for sure. All right. Let's just check things here. I copied the. All right. And I want these to rotate, I think, a little bit more. It's not really rotating quite as much as I'd like to see. 150 degrees? Okay, so I could see that if I make the collision really hard, that could make this quite fun. Okay. All right. Now, I think it's just essential to add in the collision engine and add in some things that happen when we get collisions. And yeah, I think that'll make it pretty fun. So with the projectile launcher, yeah, let's go all the way to the top here. Let's just minimize this one for a minute. Make that small. Make the projectile launcher small for a minute. All right. Now, let's add the collision. All right. Now, it's going to go through. It's going to check all the collisions. If collisions happen, currently it's going to send them flying left. Let's just check something here. Okay. So my dude still can get hurt by things. So I think I need to remove that from my character. Well, I guess I just need to control what. Oh shit! Died. All right, let's get him out of here. All right, so now I just need to, when a collision happens, I just need to add some if-else statements. And so now, question is whether or not, yeah, so I just need to slice the element ID. So let's take a look at the resources are on A, and on B is my guy and his axes. So let's just see how to reference the resource names here. And then once I do that, then it'll be pretty easy to make all these if-else statements. So each one of these elements, when it's made, I'm surprised that this guy has not gotten hit. All right, lost my position. I was way up here. So here is the counter element. Here's when it makes the actual element. And these are the names. So the spawn count, the resource element. So it says underscore resource element reference variable local name. So, and then this is going to be the spawn count here. The local name is going to be here it is. It's ID resource and then resource iteration. So yep, okay. So basically that will tell me, so if I split it And then if ID resource, okay. So let's copy this really quick. All right, so this is the element name. Actually, I want to copy this. All right, so if the element in A, so here we have collision engine. All right, so beforehand it would do this whole modify element thing. Now we have our if else. So if this is actually going to be A, we'll just copy this here. There's actually some clustering going on here. I mean, it's random, I guess, but like, and there's some of that going on here too, but interesting. All right. This will be collision list A. All right. Equals. All right. So that is this particular item. I actually want to first do a subset of that string. So I want to get a segment of the string. I don't know if I do string split. Split string. So basically, the ID of the element, I can use that to break it up, and I can say I know that we're talking about diamonds. That's what I'm trying to isolate here. So split string. Oh, I think I need to update the database for split string. Let's see. Split. Oh. Okay. Well, I think adding this in at this point will be, will take a little too much time. So, All right, so basically, if there's collision, we're going to do deletion and counting. Because right now we have clickable counting. Well, this actually makes for an interesting type of thing. The fact that like you can have clicking and collision. All right. I may just continue on this one tomorrow, and then instead of just making something subpar, and possibly add in some additional control here so that I will be able to have more complex interactions. So depending upon whether or not I'm having a collision with a diamond, or if it's a grain, or if it's the blood, I want different things to happen. I want the blood to be like, damaging and turns you into a vampire. The diamond, is money, and you want to collect it. The grass, you cut it because you like to see blades of grass fly. So, and then you can use your diamonds to build soldiers, obviously, because it's supposed to be a soldier game. So, I will continue on this further tomorrow. But we got a fair number of diamonds on the screen. Oh, 839 fragments, not too bad. Well, that is all